In this short video, I want to explain why it is a mistake to think that foreign trade might be unfair. We're told by politicians and businessmen that China, for example, indulges in unfair trade practices, or alternatively that Britain should remain in the customs union after Brexit, instead of competing freely with the rest of the world. And in the Brexit case at least, these are mixed messages that are causing much confusion. In the US-China trade relationship, fairness appears to be the issue. In both these cases, we are being bombarded with political messages which run counter to the economic case. Let's take a step back for a moment and consider the case of a farmer who grows wheat. He will do so as long as it is profitable. That is his income. He spends this income on all the things he needs, not only to harvest his wheat, but to buy in all the other essentials of life he doesn't produce himself. He buys farm equipment, and equally a tractor manufacturer does not farm wheat. Instead, he sells tractors so that he can buy bread made out of the farmer's wheat. That is the basis of the division of labour. The farmer does what he is good at to maximize his earnings, and the tractor manufacturer sticks to making tractors and associated farm equipment. In other words, both parties have an absolute advantage in what they do, and both parties benefit. Now, let's take our example one step further. Let's say there are other farmers who produce wheat more cheaply than our farmer, and so his profits are not as good as they could be. What does he do? If he is sensible, he might consider entering the wheat processing business because he already has the storage facilities. Instead of growing only wheat, the land can be released for other, more profitable uses, and he buys his wheat in at cheaper prices than he can produce it himself from the other farmers. The other farmers have a comparative advantage in growing wheat, from which our farmer, if he plays his cards right, can benefit. In fact, economists call this the Law of Comparative Advantage. No one has any problem with this. It is by the farmer exploiting the comparative advantage of other farmers that we as consumers get better and cheaper bread. Nor do we worry if the wheat is grown in another district, county, or state. In fact, we think it would be ridiculous for any politician to obstruct this wheat trade. But how about foreign trade? Exactly the same law of comparative advantage obviously applies. For example, it is through cheaper foreign steel that our own manufacturers of goods made with steel keep their prices competitive. And even if China is accused of dumping steel, why shouldn't our own manufacturers benefit? After all, the law of comparative advantage knows no boundaries between districts, counties, and states. In fact, it knows no boundaries at all. But then, why is foreign trade regarded differently? There can only be one answer, and that's politics. Let's face it, big business would rather not have competition. So the easiest way to obstruct it is to lobby politicians invoking patriotism. That attitude comes at a cost. If you restrict the international benefits of comparative advantage, you simply end up preserving businesses that are uncompetitive. All trade, wherever its origins, only happens because consumers and those who make things for consumers want the best value for their money. The vested interests that lobby against comparative advantage are doing us all a disservice, and they are also failing to grasp the opportunities that come with unfettered international trade. In short, we are all better off with trade that is free from political and nationalist concerns, and obviously free of all obstructive taxes such as tariffs. That is the point of the law of comparative advantage. Thank you.